Hey everybody, it's John Brown, and for my first full board game review focusing on one board game, I've decided to do Francis Drake. I've decided to choose this game both because it's relatively new and also because the components are awesome looking. So there's definitely worker placement, but there's also bluffing and other aspects involved. And as I already mentioned, the components are great, and you can actually store them great in the box, something that a lot of board game companies and publishers don't seem to really think about. But anyways, is the game actually good? Well, let's take a quick look at how you play the game, and then we'll get to what I think about it. Okay, so here is Francis Drake. All of this giant board, and player boards, and supply boards, and cool treasure chests. Here we basically have two sections of the board, up top and down below, which is fitting because there are 3 rounds in each game, and 2 major parts of each round. The first part of each round is a worker placement, and you'll see there's different numbers of spaces on each action. So here we can get 2 crew. If another player goes there, they can get 2 crew. If a third player goes there, and this is the beginning setup for a 4-player game, with each successive player that goes there, it might get a little bit worse. And then maybe the green player wants to jump up to here. But here's a key aspect of the game. You can never go backwards. So if this was the green player's first placement, not only could he not place on the same spot, but he can't place on this spot or this spot. So you can jump ahead to really important spaces, but you're going to be losing out, and other players might get more potential actions. So basically, we need crew members to be able to fight in fortresses and towns of varying degrees of strength. And let's see here, right there is a town, and basically this town needs to fight 1 person. We need 1 crew member, and we get 1 victory point, and if we're the first person to take it over, we also get this silver, which will give us points at the end of the game, and that's what our lovely treasure chests are for, to keep our silver, our gold, and our rubies. And for example, here we have a fortress that has cannons and people to fight, and these tiles that may add, in this case it doesn't add any, but may add more difficulty to it. They're worth more points, and later on can potentially give us bigger bonuses, like a gold instead of a silver. But notice this is in the 4 section, and we would need 4 supplies on our board during a round to go over into these different sections. There's also goods we can trade for, and all different kinds of things, and also ships that we can fight. In order to battle these ships, so here's a ship that is starting with 1 gun, we would need at least 1 gun, but there also may be these things that will add to it. Oh, this is going to add 2 guns, so we'd actually need 3 guns to beat this battle. But we don't know that. Well, there's 1 player who will know that going into the battle, but not everyone will know that, just 1 player. And, well, so here we got to supply up to decide, what we're going to do in each round. The queen will allow us to upgrade our ship. That's important because in order to go out and battle these ships, we need to upgrade from our base ship in order to do fights. And also gives you this purple cube we haven't seen yet. That's trade goods, basically, we can use to trade for the commodities out here on the board. We have the tavern, where we might end up getting some crew members. We might end up getting the ghost ship, which is basically kind of like a feint. It's something to fake people out once we get to the second part of the round we'll get to. The admiral. The admiral is actually the guy that decides where all these things go. So he will know how difficult the sea battles are actually going to be. Maybe he can make spots that he thinks other people are going to go to, potentially more deadly. He can make spots that he wants to go to, less deadly, so on and so forth. Here we can get trade goods. The governor decides where those bonus soldier tiles go, and if there's any silver left at the end of the round, he gets a bonus point, just like the admiral gets a bonus point for each gold left at the end of the round. And the governor can also, this icon right here, means basically move up 1 on the turn order when they go to sail out. There's 2 turn orders, both placing people and then when they go out and sail. More crew. Drake, Francis Drake himself, is an interesting spot. There are 2 spots here. Only 1 player can go here, and first they get all 4. They get 2 crew and 2 guns, but then on their next turn they must place here and choose either a crew or a gun. So it's a really good spot, but it takes up 2 placements. Here we have the Panache, or however it's pronounced, that basically allows us to ignore guns when we're attacking a place that has both crew and guns that we would need, and more space to get guns. The Informer gets us a trade good, and basically, once we get to the placement that we'll get to in a minute, lets us look at something and decide, if we want to move something based on the people that have placed there. Get more supplies. The Golden Hind basically allows a player to go first whenever we are sailing. One more spot. The Investor lets us trade in. We have to spend 4 victory points to upgrade our ship or to get either some more 2 guns in supply or vice versa. 1 last spot to get some things before we go out, and then we'll go sail, which is the second part of the game. The second part of the game we'll be taking in turn order and placement order up there, or excuse me, in sailing order on the other side, and we can actually pass. If we pass first, then we can be the first player in order to go sailing, and the governor, like we said, can move up 1 spot. But anyways, we come out to the board and we decide where we want to send our ships to. We basically start with 4 of these, numbered 1 through 4, and we can place them in areas, and we'll take turn order, and 1 person will go and another person will go, and we'll place them onto the board, and eventually all the players will place all of their guys. Now there are these special ones. There is the ghost ship that we could get from going to the tavern, and the Golden Hind. Each round there will only be 1 player with the Golden Hind, and basically he will always go first. After everyone is placed, then we'll flip everything over and see what happens. So we might have contention in a spot. Of course, I just put 2 of the same color there, so that wouldn't work. But if we had 2 different colors here, we'd see, oh, the 2 goes up in the first spot, 3 goes here. If there were more players, they would go alongside at the bottom in case somebody can't complete a task. They would have a chance to go, but they might not get a chance to go. So we would flip everything over. So in this instance, 1 would definitely go first. And we would resolve everything on the board. So whoever was the first player to sail resolves his number 1, and then the next player resolves their number 1, and so on and so forth. So this player would see, okay, I'm going to go fight this town. Oh, there was no bonus. So I would basically have to beat the guns and 1 troop, and if I could, then I would get the victory points. If I was the first person, I'd also get this gold that goes in my awesome treasure chest. Well, there are several different sets of these cards that we will lay out, and depending on the number of players, there's different ones of these. After the first round, that will change up the order on the top of the board. So each round we might have certain things clumped together, we're going to have things in a different order, so it makes the second and third round a little bit different. And again, the spaces that are available are different depending on the number of players. Okay, final thoughts. Components, incredible. There's some paint chipping on a few of the round discs where, you know, your 1, 2, 3, 4, your ship disc. I put the stickers on the sides that's chipping so that it will be face down. That could potentially be an issue if they are chipped and people know, oh, that's your number 3, blah, blah, blah. But really incredible components, fantastic. Negatives about the game. One major thing. It took me a while to figure out exactly what my problem was, but let's see here. Yes. Voyages 2 and 3, right here. These little 2 paragraphs. That's it. That's the difference between rounds 1 and rounds 2 and 3. Everything that you built up, your guns, your supplies, your, all that goes away. Your ship gets downgraded again. You don't build up an armada. There's no sense of progression. One of my favorite things in board games is round 1, got this little dinky whatever village, space fleet, whatever it is, and I build it up. So maybe I can do one little thing at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game I have these big combos and cool things I can do. This game doesn't have it. Rounds 2 and 3 are pretty much the same. You can score about the same number of points. Your strategy's formulating, but that's kind of a bummer. I really miss it. However, the worker placement part is cool, being able to jump ahead. Other people get more action potentially if you do. Not a lot of strategies. This is not a Stefan Feld 8 gajillion ways to score points, point salad sort of game. I like that in games. This, you can trade and you can fight. It's going to be pretty obvious what you're doing at some point. You can mix up to 2. So I wish there were more strategies as far as an overarching thing. But the tactical aspects of the game are great. So not a lot of progression. Games aren't going to be all that different. The order will be different. The people you play with will make it different. You can play with the same people and have a different game, but not that different. And the rounds are very similar to one another. However, the bluffing, the where am I going, where's my high ones, looking at your board, where can you go, what powers do I want to take to mess you over to help me, all of that's great. Trying to figure out what other people are doing, the worker placement is great, where am I going to place my guys, how, How important is it to go first? How important is it to get that ruby? You know, can I even get that ruby? Am I going to risk doing a battle that if he puts 2 cannons there, I might not win? Just all different kinds of cool things. The game itself, I'd probably give about a B rating. That's how I like to rate games on a grade scale. People use 1 to 10. A lot of times, like a 7's an average for some people, 5's an average for some people. The components make it at least a B plus. The components are incredible. And it really has a wide appeal. I mean, worker placement Eurogamers might like this, but there's still that figuring out what people are doing and not necessarily competing with each other directly, but that, you know, where are you going, where am I going, who placed the lower thing there, am I just bluffing? You know, that aspect I think would be appealing to a lot of gamers. So really broad appeal, some really neat concepts, gorgeous components, I think give this game a solid B+. Thanks a lot for watching, and hope I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, bye.